Hi, everybody. It's me, Mr. Morris, and I want to talk to you about note taking and a way of doing notes that I've done for many years, and it's very, very effective, and it really works for everybody. We're more or less taking notes by reading with a purpose. So I'm reading this article right here, and I grabbed it off of National Geographic on Greek city-states and how they work together. But for this purpose, I've put the article here in a Google Doc, which I'll do a lot of times when we read it in class. And in this article, there's one thing I want to figure out. Okay, the goal of this article for me, I'm reading for a purpose here. Here's my essential question. How did the city-states of Greece work together? How they work together, right? So I'm going to read this article first. I'm going to start up here. I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm going to start here. Each city-state in ancient Greece was an independent unit. They made their own laws, and it keeps going. So I read this paragraph, paragraph 1. I read paragraph 2, and I read paragraph 3. So I've read the entire article. Now, in this article, there are several things that jump out at me, but I'm focusing on how did Greece work together? Okay, the city-states of ancient Greece, how did they work together? Okay, now that I've read through it, I'm going to go through and I'm going to go and look for who, what, why, where, when, and how. And I'm going to pull those things out. But the most important thing, my how, is going to be how did the city-states work together? Okay, so first of all, the who, actually it's going to be each city-state is my who. Who? Each city-state. So I know who is a person, but in this case, who is a city-state? Okay, where? Greece. When? Ancient times, ancient Greece. So I got my who, I got my where, and I got my when taken care of. Okay, so what were they? So now again, my who, each city-state. Where? Greece. When? Ancient times. What? They were an independent unit. They made their own laws, they made their own coinage, and they had their own ways of doing things. They were independent. That's the what. Okay, as I read on, I got my who, I got my where, I got my when, I got my what. Okay. So they were independent and did their own thing. Why? Well, here's the why. The geography of the Aegean, that's Greece, made these cities fiercely independent. That's why they were so independent. So I have my who, I have my what, I got my where, I got my when, I have my why, but now I need the how. Okay, so we have to figure out what the how is. Well, I've read this article, and remember, my how, I'm trying to answer this. How did the city-states work together? So in reading this article, I found it right here. The city-states traded with each other. They negotiated with each other, and they knew each other. So this is the how. So I'm going to go ahead and do this because this is the part about how. Okay, so this kind of answers the question. So I'm going to take this information and I'm going to put it over here. This is my Cornell note sheet. Now, normally this would be blank, but I'm going to walk you through it. Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to get this blank sheet and I'm going to put my name, Kurt Morris. My period is 2. Today's date is September 14th, 9/14. The topic objective is ancient Greek city-states. My essential question, I'm not going to worry about the essential question yet. The only time I worry about the essential question is when I'm writing down what the actual thesis or the overall question of my paper is going to be. I don't have one. I'm just reading an article. Okay, so this is where you guys have to pay attention a little bit. So go back to my article. And it says, how did the city-states of ancient Greece work together? I'm going to take that nugget because that's what I'm reading for. That's my purpose of reading. And I am going to put this right here where it says, how did the city-states of ancient Greece work together? So that goes right here. Now, this part right here, this, ladies and gentlemen, This is the source. This is the URL. That's this thing right here. And as you can tell, I already have it right here up above on that Google Doc that I put the article on. So I'm going to put that thing right here. So you never have to go back to that article and try and find it. It's already here for you. So you can go back, put this away, open it back up, and your article is there saved. Now remember, the first thing I want to find out is who, and I already know who. I've already made a copy, and I cut and I pasted. Each city-state, boom, right there. Okay. Where? Greece? Well, boom, I popped it right here. When? Ancient times. Boom, I cut, I paste, I actually dropped it down here. So let's get back to the what. What? We talked about that. They were an independent unit, made their own laws, their own money, and they had their own way of doing things. Okay, cool. I'm going to drop that right here. Why were they independent? Oh, well, they were independent because remember, we read this and we found that. That's why they were independent, because of the geography. I'm going to drop that right there. And then finally, how? We're answering the question. The question is, how did the city-states of Greece work together? And that question is answered down here, right? This big chunk. So I'm going to grab that, and I only put a little bit. I put the city-states traded with each other. Okay, so I have this figured out. Now I have to write a summary. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a summary answering my overall question. How did the city-states of Greece work together? Well, when I go to write my summary, I need to start by answering the initial question. So I need to reiterate the question in my answer. So here's what I put. Just read the orange. Each city-state in ancient Greece worked together by trading things with each other. I'm putting it in my own words. I'm actually starting with the how, because that's what we're answering. How did the city-states work together? And I need to reiterate the question to answer the question. How did the city-states of Greece work together? The city-states traded with each other. Put it together. Each city-state in ancient Greece worked together by trading things with each other. Put it in my own words. Now we need to go through and put the what and the why on there. The geography of Greece made the city-states independent from each other. The city-states made their own laws, had their own money, and did things their own way. So I just wrote a summary with the information. And notice I didn't use all these words. I put it in my own words. I didn't want to use that. I actually cut this off. I used that, but I changed the word to Greece. I added a couple extra words here. And I more or less took this information and I put it in my own words. So that's my summary. So let's ask the question again. How did the city-states of Greece work together? Which is what this part is, right? This is what I was doing. And I got that from up here, which was my original question I was asking. And here's your answer. Each city-state in ancient Greece worked together by trading things with each other. The geography of Greece made the city-states independent from each other. They had their own way of their own laws and their own money and their own way of doing things. But they traded with each other. That was the important piece. So there's my summary. Now that I've written my summary, I'm pretty much done. But I'm not all the way done because I want you guys to be thinking even deeper. I say all the time, whenever you read something or you're learning something, you should have more questions than you started with. Well, I was reading this article, and in the article, it says that they went to war with each other. The ancient Greek city-states went to war with each other. It had nothing to do with the answer I was looking for, but first thing that popped in is, what kind of battles did they have? What did an ancient Greek battle look like? I don't know. I can't picture it. So that's a question I have. Another thing I came up with was, how did the ancient Greeks travel back and forth? If they traded with each other, what did that look like? Was a guy like walking across mountains and hills carrying bags of stuff? Were they in boats? Were they both? I don't know. It's a question I have from that article. It didn't answer it. And finally, why was each city-state so different from the next one? I mean, in the article, it talks about how they had their own money, their own way of doing things. They had their own governments. There were 1,000 of them. My question, why was each one so different? I mean, here in America, all of our states are kind of the same. Okay, they're different. There's even different, accents in each state. But in ancient Greece, their city-states were completely different. It was like going to a whole nother land with the city-state just over the hill there. Why was that? Well, these are things I'm thinking of. This is a deeper thought, this section here, and I want you guys to be thinking about deeper questions. So this is what I expect from notes. This is the Cornell note taking. We chunk Cornell notes, and you'll see it all the time. We chunk the notes, we write summaries, and we ask questions. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know. This is what we're doing this year. Refer to this video whenever you get confused. Thanks.